What is up, YouTube? JankyYGO here. My name is Michael, and today we're talking about a brand new archetype. It's the first time in a while that we've done this, and we're talking about the Labrynth archetype. So, without further ado, let's jump into it and see what everything does. So, first card is Labrynth of the Silver Palace. It's a level 8 Dark Fiend effect monster, 2900 attack, 1900 defense. Its second and third effects are once per turn each. Your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to the activation of your normal trap cards. Second effect says you can target one normal trap card in your graveyard, set it to your field, but it cannot be activated unless you control a fiend monster. And 3, if a monster leaves the field by the effect of a normal trap card, you can destroy one card your opponent controls or one random card in their hand. So, talk about this, and I don't know how we get this out, so I'm just gonna assume that one of the trap cards summons it. But so the second effect is very, very good. It just, you get your stuff, and since you have fiends, and the whole deck is probably gonna be fiends, you can probably just imagine that you're gonna constantly activate, pop, and get your stuff back. The second effect makes all your cards a 2-for-1. So, if this deck doesn't need its extra deck, you could play something like the Dogmatica engine, for example. Flip up Dogmatica Punishment, because it's any normal trap card. Pop your opponent's monster, send Intis, pop something else, and this also pops another thing, so you can get Dogmatica Punishment can be a 3-for-1 with this card, and it can reset them and stuff like that. So this card is very good, assuming there is a good way to summon it out, because at the moment it's just a level 8 and everything, and it's a decent boss monster, but the problem is if there's no way to get it out, then it might suck. But overall, it's a pretty good, cool card. Also, this effect is very, very powerful. So we're gonna move on to Labrynth Archfiend. So this card, it's worth mentioning, all Archfiend cards are in the same archetype too, so any Archfiend support works with this. So the level 7 Dark Fiend effect monster, 2000 attack, 2800 defense. If a trap card is activated, you can special summon this card from your hand. Cool. If this card is special summoned, you can set one normal trap card that activates only when an attack is declared directly from your deck to the field. Okay, so you said it. So, okay, so, and then the third effect is gains 400 for each normal trap card with different names in the graveyard. Monsters your opponent controls cannot target fiend monsters you control for attacks, except Labrynth Archfiend. Okay, so let's break this down. The first effect is kind of like a multi-faker. You just activate one of your trap cards and then it summons itself out. That's really, really good. The second effect is also very good as it sets something, although it requires your opponent to, declare an attack for it. That could be fine. It just depends on how good those cards are. And the third effect is decent, but like it's not. It's nothing to scoff. It's nothing to like write off because it can come up, but it is something that is like it's not as impactful as the other two effects. So it's a pretty good card and stuff like that. And we'll talk about some of the archetypes if that you can mix it with at the end, because I already have a few ideas. So Labyrinth Servant Arianna is a level 4 Dark Fiend effect monster with 1600 attack, 2100 defense. You can only use one of the first and second effects of this card's name per turn, and only once that turn. If this is normal or special summon, you can add one Labyrinth card from your deck to your hand except for itself. If a monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect, you can draw one card, then special summon one fiend or set one spell or trap from your hand. Alright, so let's break this down. First, the first and second effect you have to choose between each turn, because of the way that this line right here is worded. So you only get one of the effects. But it is a very powerful card. It is your Searcher, it is your Stratos, and that is very important. If you need one of the monsters, you can get one of the monsters. If you need one of the traps, you get the trap. this is your like staple 3 of, you play it and everything. The other ones, it depends on what they do and everything if you're mixing them. As a pure archetype, I don't know yet because it's obviously, since it's a trap deck, it's going to be about controlling the opponent. So we're just going to have to see. So I've got to keep in mind for the second effect. Notice it says normal traps effect, not if it. So, it's important to note that like the virus cards don't work with that because it's not an effect that's making the monster leave. Well, the tribute part isn't. It is the that's the cost. However, if you're using one of the virus that blows up monsters, you can still get that second effect. So that's something to keep in mind if you're mixing it with Lair of Darkness. If you're gonna mix it with Dogmatica, it still gets its second effect with Dogmatica Punishment. And if you are mixing with maybe frogs, I don't know if you why you would mix it with and paleos. That's another thing is that like because it just says leave, so if you Demiscus, uh that is another thing that is like that will trigger its second effect. So all of these things are pretty cool. We're gonna move on to Labrynth Chandra. The Labrynth Chandra is a level 3 Dark Fiend effect, 1500 attack, 0 defense. First and second effects of this card's name can only be used once per turn each. First effect says, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, discard 1 card, set 1 Labyrinth spell or trap from your hand or deck to your field. If a monster leaves the field by your normal traps effects, while this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. Okay. That's really good. So, you ditch it, set 1. Oh, and 1 card. Okay, so you have to do both. So you can like send this and another card and set one of your traps and then go from there. That's pretty cool. I like this card. I just it's a -1 technically, but that's okay. If the trap card is very impactful, it could make up for it, as you could stun your opponent out of the game. So that's really cool. I'm eager to see what the Labyrinth spell or trap cards do. So yeah. So far, I like all the monsters though. Labrynth Stovee. Ooh, I like this card. It's kind of cute. Level 2 Dark Fiend effect. 0 attack, 2000 defense. First and second effects are hard once per turn each. Quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the field and discard 1 card. Set 1 Labyrinth spell or trap from your hand or deck to your field. Okay, so it's the same as the last one. Second effect, if a monster leaves, you can special summon this card. So this one adds to the hand, this one special summons, but the first effects are the same. This card is also pretty good as well. So yeah, I like this card. I think it's pretty good. Also, something to keep in mind, this doesn't banish itself when it leaves the field, like a lot of these things do. So, when you link summon with it, or if you have it in, like if you link summon with it, or if you XD summon, well, XD wouldn't make it get banished anyway, but if you link summon or use it as like a synchro, for some reason, like you synchro summon with it, it's not, after it special summoned itself back, it's not going to get banished. That's really, really cool. But yeah, I think this card's also fine. We're going to move on to Cuclock. Level 1 Dark Fiend effect, quick effect. You can discard this turn while you control a Labyrinth monster. You can activate 1 normal trap card the turn it was set. That is powerful. Second effect, you can send a card or cards from your hand to the graveyard to activate Labyrinth card's effects, except for Labrynth Cuclock or a normal trap card. While this is in your graveyard, you can either add this card to your hand or special summon it. So, if you send Labyrinth cards to the thing by a card effect, or if you activate a trap, you can get this back to your hand or special summon it. This card is also pretty good too. What this allows you to do is you can discard this, activate a normal trap card if you need to, or if you don't need your normal summon this turn, you can normal summon it and make a Link Karibo, and then you have its effect to get in your hand later. That's very, very good. So we're gonna move on to the first of the spells, Labrynth. Field spell. First and second effects are hard once per turns each. If you activate a set Welcome Labrynth normal trap card, you can add this additional effect. Destroy one card on the field. Okay. If you activate a non-Labrynth normal trap card, you can special summon one fiend monster from your hand or graveyard. Okay, so we have to know what this card does before we really evaluate if this card is any good. I will say if Welcome Labyrinth is a good card, then the non-targeting destruction effect right here is also will be very worth it, and this card will be worth it to run. If not, then you probably just don't run it. This second effect is also nice for when you mix it, like I said. So like if you're playing Paleos and all that, and you have that, since it is a non-Labyrinth, it's not a Labyrinth normal trap card, the Paleos aren't, and you can special summon a Fiend. Unless I miss, reading that, you can let me know in the comment section down below. Labrynth Setting. Quick play spell. So, you can activate one card with this card's name per turn. Target 2 of your Labyrinth spell or trap cards that are banished and or in your graveyard, except Labrynth Setting, shuffle them into deck. If you control a Fiend monster, you can set non-Labyrinth normal traps with different names from each other directly from your deck, equal to the number of cards shuffled in. Okay. It feels like this deck just wants to be mixed with something. This card's pretty decent, I guess. It helps reset your Labyrinth cards. Huh. Although the first effect, this just right here, isn't good. It's this part that right here that makes it good, that make this card decent. So I'm wondering if it might not be worth it to mix this with like something like Paleo Frogs, or I mean you can put Paleos in this deck probably. But yeah, I think that you definitely could mix this with Lair though. Like Lair of Darkness, all of them are fiends, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Welcome Labyrinth. Okay, so this is the card we were talking about that the field spell mentioned. So it's a normal trap card. Its first and second effects of this card once per turn, and name once per turn each. Please one. Special summon one Labyrinth monster from your deck, but you cannot special summon monsters from the deck or extra deck until the end of the next turn after this resolves, except for fiend monsters. If a monster or monsters leaves the field by your normal traps effect, so this is in your graveyard, except for the turn it was sent to the graveyard, you can set this card to your field. Okay, so this is how we get out the boss monster and stuff like that, because it summons one right from the deck. So, this card is an easy 3 of, because if we are playing a Labyrinth deck, and let's say we're running the full package of all the Labyrinth monsters, this card is worth running because all the Labyrinth monsters are pretty good on their own, and on top of that, it summons one right from the deck. The downside of not being able to summon fiends is pretty, from your deck or extra deck, is pretty negligible if you don't mix it with Paleos. So as we're moving along, I'm starting to see that maybe Paleos are not the way to go. But if you do want to mix it with like Lair of Darkness, since those are fiends, except it might be like great to go with that. If you want to play a pure deck, I could also see that working as well. This deck does feel very synergistic and enough to play by itself. So the first thing about only fiends is not a real downside. As far as the second effect goes, it recycles itself. It's also worth noting it doesn't banish itself as well. So once it just, you just It doesn't banish itself. So if they destroy it with like back row removal and stuff like that, even after it resets itself, it still stays in the graveyard. That's very, very good as well. So we're gonna move on though. Fairwelcome Labyrinth. Also, this makes the field spell playable because you have a Fairwelcome Labyrinth is a normal trap card. When a monster declares an attack, if you control a fiend monster, you can target one field card on the field, negate that attack, and if you do destroy that target, then you can set one non-Labyrinth normal trap card from your deck, hand or deck, to your field. So, it definitely seems like it wants to be mixed with another archetype, though, because it keeps saying non-Labyrinth normal traps. That is pretty good, though. You negate the attack, destroy the monster, and set one as well, which also triggers all the things with like if a monster leaves the field by your normal trap card's effect as well. So I think this card is pretty good. Labrynth Barrage, normal trap card. You can activate a set trap card except for when you activate a set normal trap except for Barrage, your opponent takes no further damage from card effects until the end of the next turn. After this card resolve, also this card's effect becomes that normal trap card when that card is activated. So the idea of this card is to copy one of your other normal trap cards. So if you do run like a Dogmatica engine in this deck, for example, and Dogmatica Punishment, activate, you flip up your Dogmatica Punishment, you flip up this, because it is normal, it was a set normal trap card that you activated, they don't take damage, but you get to pop 2 things, pop up to 4 things if you send 2 Intis's. So that's pretty cool. The downside is that they don't take any damage from card effects, and that's so that burn decks don't abuse this card and stuff like that. But this card is pretty good. So we're gonna move on to Archfiend Glitch. So this is the normal trap card that they pretty much, I think they're wanting you to run with it. So if you control a fiend monster, you can target one card on the field, destroy it, then you can send one fiend monster from your deck to the graveyard. This card is very good in like a freaking control deck that relies on fiends. Like I don't think Trap BA ends on a fiend monster. What if they did? This card is very good because not only is it disruption, but it also sends one. Yeah, this card I think is worth running. Like for the normal trap cards that I would say that you should run in this deck, if you're playing it pure, are the ones in the archetype itself because almost all of them are good. Daemon Glitch, aka Archfiend Glitch, and then probably Imperm and maybe Reckless Greed. I guess it'd be Reckless Greed. Labrynth Barrage can turn into Reckless Greed, and that makes it even better. Especially because Labrynth Barrage is not a once per turn. So, but it is a it does miss timing kinda because it is a one. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Overall, I think that's it because then it's just a reprint of Compulse. Overall, I think this archetype is very cool and very powerful, and it does synergize with other archetypes that we have that are trap archetypes and stuff like that. I think amazements are fiends. I might be wrong on that as well. If they are, if they aren't, you can let me know in the comment section down below. If it is your birthday today, happy birthday. And if you want to send me any cool deck profiles or replays, email is in the description. And of course, and as always, have a wonderful day.